Hi, and welcome to the second episode of Welcome the Magic. So I hope you had a lovely and relaxing Easter Sunday. I certainly did, and I had some delicious chocolate that was sent to me from France with a massive Easter egg that astonishingly survived the whole journey and arrived totally undamaged, which is a bit of a miracle, really. Today, because it was Easter, I thought I would do a little research about the origin of the name and the history of it. I don't know what you know about it, but it's really interesting stuff. Easter, also known as Istre or Eostre, was originally the springtime sacrificial festival that was dedicated to the Saxon goddess Eostre and Ostara, from which it borrowed its name. This goddess is a northern version of the Middle Eastern goddess Ishtar, that you may be familiar with, called Astarte in Greek, whose name means the star, or queen of the stars, or queen of heaven, queen of the light. So what's really interesting is that in English-speaking countries, with a Germanic influence, the name of the German goddess of light is used as a base for Easter, whereas in Romance languages, like in French, Easter is based on a variation of Pascha, the Latin word for the Hebrew Pesach, by which the Jewish people commemorate their liberation by God from slavery in Egypt. And it's Passover, which is why most of the Christian world calls this holiday Passover after its Jewish roots. Like in French, for instance, the word for Easter is Pâques, so no link whatsoever to Eostre or Ostara. A few others use derivations of the Greek word Anastasia, which means born again or resurrection. So Easter is basically a time of passage, whether it is translated as Passover or based on the goddess of light or stars. It's always a time of passage and of transition from dark to light or from death to life. What's interesting as well is to study the origin of the Easter Bunny, for instance. And the Easter Bunny is also older than Christianity. It was the moon hare sacred to the goddess in both Eastern and Western traditions. And the hot cross buns that are sometimes eaten at Easter, well, they are said to originally represent the 4 quarters of the moon. And these buns were offerings to the goddess that were hung from rafters to scare off evil that lurked in houses. Another source would be that the cross that's on the bun would come from beyond, obviously, the cross on which Jesus was crucified. It would come from the Celtic cross that represents the intersection of earth and heaven, earth being represented by the horizontal line and heaven by the vertical line, which also represent human and divine. And regarding the symbolic of the egg, well, obviously the egg is a symbol of the embryo that contains the whole universe, and it's an image of birth, rebirth, and creation. But there's also a myth involving Hathor, the Egyptian version of the goddess Astarte, who laid the golden egg of the sun. And what's really interesting is that exactly like Kali, the Indian great mother, dark mother, Hathor was queen of heaven, the womb, the mother of every god and goddess, but she also drank the blood of gods and men. Therefore, she was also a goddess of death and destruction. That's what's common to all of those goddesses that were quite alike, whether it is Eostre, Astarte, Ishtar, Hathor, Kali. They are all goddesses of light, of rebirth, creation, of love as well, and they're all equally goddesses of death and of destruction. And this really invites us to meditate on the very strong link that exists between life and death, destruction, chaos and creation, how interconnected they all are. Life emerges from death, renewal emerges from chaos, spring from winter, light from darkness. And so it's a reminder that however difficult things may be sometimes, we have to remember that from chaos and destruction emerges creation and light. And it's not a surprise that times when art has been so prolific or essential has been in times of chaos. art has never mattered more than in times of political darkness and destruction, because it can really shine through as a voice. The darker it gets, the brighter you have to shine. You also need, chaos to build upon. It's endings that bring new beginnings. Nature is a great master in that respect to observe. It can teach you so much. Winter, for instance. During the winter, nature is dormant. Things seem to stand still. Nothing seems to be happening on the surface. It seems a bit dull, bare, silent. And yet, within this silence and within this stillness, nature is full of life. Seeds are waiting to emerge in the spring. And if you take trees, for instance, trees are already budding. The seeds are already there. At the end of the summer, it's all already there. And they're just dormant during the winter until they emerge. It's invisible, but they are there, even if you can't see it. The ending of the cycle already contains the seeds of the new beginning. And it's only when the time is right that they come out, they grow, they swell and become bigger, and they reveal themselves to the whole world, and they shine. And we can learn so much from nature and from its cycle. And we shouldn't forget that we are just like nature. We also have our own cycle. We have our winters and our springs. We have our summers, our autumns. We have our moments of stillness, of action, of change, of renewal and transformation. We all have that power to balance dark with light, to create out of chaos, to build something out of nothing. And Easter is a great time to think about our new beginnings and what we want to see grow in the coming months. Don't forget that new beginnings are within endings, and good things are within difficulties, and whatever obstacles or mistakes or regrets or things that have not worked out the way you wanted them to work out in the past, you have grown from that. They make you who you are, and you are more accomplished because you have lived through them. This is a moment to believe in yourself. This is a moment of rebirth. Thank you for listening.